Assemble! Stay dandy, baby.
Papa Kurama's got a brand new bag and a super exciting chapter of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. You know, it's pretty commonplace for these long-running shonen battle manga to introduce a brand new power-up, which is basically the Next Generation Super Saiyan. All the big series do it. You know, One Piece, Naruto, Yu Yu Hakusho, they've always been emulating the classic that is Dragon Ball, when the characters are pushed to a brand new level and they reveal a form that they seemingly never mentioned before. And it's all happening in the latest chapter of Boruto, and it is pretty awesome to say the least. This is just manga junk food, and I really do love it. I'm so excited to see Naruto's brand new form in this epic battle against Isshiki. And that was really only a small part of this chapter, but I have a feeling it's what most people are actually going to be talking about when discussing the latest chapter of Boruto. But there's a lot of important details in this one. However, it was one of those chapters that felt spread just a little too thin in my opinion. That being said, there was still some pretty cool stuff, so let's go ahead and dive into some of the juicier details. So first and foremost, at the end of the last chapter, Boruto realized that Isshiki was not going to kill him, as he's a part of his greater plan. And we get to learn from Amato, who coolly and calmly gives us some more of the insight onto why this actually is. So we already know that these 10-tail monsters are essentially the seedlings of these god trees which are going to come to planets. But basically, instead of using water, they require blood. It's become Little Shop of frickin' Horrors up in here. That's right, the 10 tails actually need to devour a sacrifice, and that sacrifice is none other than an Otsutsuki. And that's exactly why the Otsutsuki actually come to these planets in pairs. One of them is someone who tends to the garden, and the other one basically ends up being the fertilizer. And apparently that's why Kaguya decided to go up against Isshiki in the past, because she didn't want to be sacrificed to some sort of weird 10-tailed monster and transformed into a tree. Now, the failsafe, of course, is that the Otsutsuki have developed the Karma ability, which essentially allows them to reincarnate in someone else's physical form. So basically, they just can continue this never-ending cycle of planet destruction, sacrifice, and getting continuously powered up. Basically, they're constantly evolving themselves, and the way that it all actually sort of lines up, honestly, kind of makes sense in retrospect for the rest of the series. And I'm glad that it doesn't feel too crazy for the show, although we do have to remember, we're still dealing with intergalactic aliens who plant monster seeds on planets in order to eat the fruit that comes from them, so yeah, it's still pretty freaking weird in some respects, but still, it's an important detail because as we know, Boruto has actually been inhabited by none other than Momoshiki, who is slowly going through his Otsusification, as they like to call it in the show, which I still think is just ridiculous, but basically he's eventually going to become Momoshiki so that he can be basically the sacrifice for the coming god tree, and Isshiki is not going to let anything get in his way, as most of this chapter he just runs a train over Sasuke, beating the absolute crap out of him in this chapter, again just demonstrating that even at his weakest, he's still pretty freaking strong. And Boruto goes to crazy lengths in this chapter. You can really see him mature as a character, as I'm sure he's still feinting it, but basically he's saying that he's going to kill himself, which would completely ruin Ishiki's plan altogether in order to get a sacrifice, because one, he needs Boruto and Kawaki for two reasons. Kawaki for a body to be able to sustain his powers, and Boruto, who of course is going to be the sacrifice for creating this massive tree. So yeah, most of this chapter was devoted to learning a little bit about how these god trees are created, what the 10 purposes, and how it all makes sense with the Otsutsuki actually coming to the planet in the first place. And everybody sort of passively hears all of this from Amato, except for Kawaki, who decides to get up all in his face and start some shit, because that's just what Kawaki do. But then we have the very end of the chapter, which is so freaking intense. So Boruto has basically been captured by Isshiki at this point, realizing that he's not going to allow him to kill himself. He takes his knife away, he ends up breaking his arm, and before things can get more intense, Naruto finally arrives. But before he does, he's having an important conversation with Kurama, who basically says there might be one way to actually take this guy down. It's some sort of brand new secret technique and transformation that is so powerful that it could result in the death of its user, which is just crazy to think that there is the potential that this series might have the balls to actually kill off Naruto, which I think would be insane. We already know that there's the potential for the character either getting severely injured or possibly killed because of what we've seen at the very beginning of the Boruto series, teasing some of the events of the future, but could this be that moment. Will this be the reason that Naruto actually dies in the series by attaining a brand new transformation which uses so much chakra it basically mummifies and kills its user? I don't know. I don't know if I want to see that happen, and I don't know if the series is honestly going to be brave enough to pull off something like that. Killing off Naruto would be pretty controversial, I think. That being said, I don't think he's going to get out of this technique without any sort of repercussions. The consequences of this technique could actually result in him losing his ability to use chakra. It could affect him in a more physical sense. There's no telling what this is actually going to do, but at the very end of the chapter, he arrives, kicking Isshiki in the face and activating this brand new form, which of course we don't get to see in full quite yet, but from what we've seen so far, I think it looks pretty freaking cool. It's definitely more of Kurama taking over Naruto's body at this point, as you get to see he has these fox ears which are going up into the air, his eyes and the markings on his face have changed into a completely different pattern, and of course his jacket is starting to split off into 9 different sections to represent Kurama the Nine-Tailed Fox. Otherwise, it's awesome. I'm always excited to see a brand new Naruto form, especially one that I didn't see coming anytime soon. I didn't even really think there was going to be anything else to add to Naruto's arsenal in terms of actually utilizing this technique, but no, it continuously evolves, but it seems like we've finally reached the ceiling in terms of how far these actual powers can go. Kurama is not too thrilled about doing this, and what this speaks for him remains to be seen, because he can just be reincarnated. But Naruto, if he uses this, he's dead, man. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen. And if he does become this powerful, if this is just the absolute end-all, be-all power that we've seen in the series, he should be absolutely destroying Isshiki in the next chapter. But we're just going to have to wait and see. So, what's the rundown on this chapter of Boruto Naruto Next Generations? Whew, this was an intense one to say the least. Again, I still think it was really slow in a lot of the parts in terms of the expositional dialogue of it explaining what it means with the whole Ten Tails creature and the sacrifice and anything. It wasn't as big a shock as I actually thought that it was actually going to be, but I do love that they tied the whole pairs of Otsutsuki thing into the storyline. Whether that was the plan from the beginning or they're just George Lucasing this thing remains to be seen. But so far, everything does seem to be at least lining up just a little bit to see how it all happened. That being said, I am still kind of curious about some of the bigger events at the beginning of Naruto, and maybe this is just me being misinformed and I don't remember correctly, but when Kage and Isshiki came to the planet originally, to my knowledge, either the tree was there or she planted it herself, but what did she use for a sacrifice in order to actually make the thing grow? I mean, was it actually like a Ten Tails? Was it simply just a tree that existed on the planet? Like I said, maybe I forgot. Maybe it was already there. Maybe you guys can remind me in the comments section below. Otherwise, I really liked this chapter a lot. Like most people, I'm just excited to see Naruto's brand new form, which, of course, they're going to keep mysterious for a whole nother month. And maybe even they're going to mess with us even more by jumping to something else in the next chapter. Although, I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're planning on rocking everyone's world with this brand new form, and I cannot wait to see it. From what I've seen so far, it looks just gnarly as all hell. Can't wait to see it all in action. But I want to hear from you guys. Make sure to tell me what you thought about the latest chapter of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. What do you think of Naruto's brand new form? Do you like the look of it so far, even though we haven't gotten a super great look at it? Do you think this is actually going to kill the character? Will they have the bravery to actually do something that crazy? Is he simply just going to lose his powers? Any thoughts or theories? And what you think is going to happen in the next big bad battle with Isshiki? Thank you guys for watching this review. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. Make sure to use your Rasengan and smack that like button. Helps out these videos a lot. Ensures that more people can actually see my videos when I release them. I also want to thank all of my patrons. You guys are freaking incredible. I can't thank you enough. You're effectively the producers of my YouTube channel, giving me monthly donations as well as feedback. And remember, first-time donators, I'll review an anime series of your choice, as well as adding your name to this list of super awesome people. So thank you guys so much for watching this review. I'll see you all next time. And as always, stay down there, baby.